Your mom.
Yeah, you got me. Hello and welcome back to Caragor Studios Remnant Lunar Archon Session 51. We've done it. We're halfway to 100. We're past halfway to 100. Technically, it was halfway through last session that we were halfway through to 100. Because of the way numbers work and math works. Because technically, there are 99 total numbers between 1 and 100. Not 100, despite what you may believe. If you count between 0 and 100, there are 100 total full numbers.
You said between 1 and 100, so there's actually 98.
No. Between 1 and 100, there are 99 full numbers. There are 99 full numbers.
99.
No, between.
Yeah. From 1 to 2 is one number.
Take out
2 through 99 means 98.
Yeah.
2 through 99, or 1 through 99, or 2 through 100 would be 98.
2 through 98 is 98 numbers.
I'm with Sam.
I'm not going to explain this right now. I can explain during the break.
If there's 1 and there's 100, you take those two numbers. You take 100 minus 2 is 98.
Why would you take 100 minus 2?
You
because of the numbers 1 and 100. It can't be 1 or 100, so it's between them.
That's a fair point. Okay.
So it goes to 99, but there's only 98 numbers.
I
you
understand.
said you were an accounting major.
I am. I was thinking from the whole stages of numbers between 1 to 2 is one number, 2 to 3, etc. And then 99 to 100 becomes the 99th number.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. You know what does matter, though?
Your mom.
Who's going to give us the recap? Hey, Joycelyn. What happened last time?
What happened last time? I'm not really sure. I was not very present last time.
Oh, darn.
Let's see.
It wasn't much.
Combat. We were trying to fight a Hydra. It was not going very well because none of us could figure out what to do. And but we killed all the sharks, I think.
No,
y'all killed.
There was 1 shark left.
I think y'all killed 1 shark, and then 2 got away. But they were like,
we killed
nope.
2 of them.
Did you? Did y'all get the one that was trying to escape?
No, 1 of them did escape. There were 3 of them, I thought.
Well, I remember there was the first one, which was obliterated. There was a second one that ended up swimming downward and got out. And then the third one was underneath the boat that left when the Hydra was killed.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Either way.
We finally killed the Hydra, but not before it killed that guy.
Does anyone remember that guy's name?
Ashburn.
Ashburn.
Good job. Proud of you two. Proud of the people that played Ashburn mechanically.
To back up a little bit, we're like in the sword shattered shattered memories. The sword called Shattered Memories.
Memories. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Was this foreshadowed the whole time?
Yes.
It should have been called Shadowed Memories.
That would have been fun. Except it would also be incorrect on the sword's part.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
It's also a reference to the fact that it's, made of memory iron. But that's not the point. The point is, I'll kill the Hydra.
We also split the party. So that was Team Power, which was Garand, Doug, and Gambit. And we have yet to see Team Wisdom, Thicket, and John. are going to they're having to figure out how to get like an elephant someplace.
Across
Yeah.
the ravine.
Across the ravine, which
Yeah.
they pretty much solved, and then we had a mechanical difficulty or something like that, and so we delayed the polymorph decision. But what ended up happening, and I guess we'll go ahead and enter in with as we return. Did y'all change your mind, or are y'all going through with the plan of polymorphing the elephant into, I believe it was a dog, and then carrying him down, or her down, and then up the ravine? Is that right?
We didn't pick an animal.
Well, I guess you better pick an animal. What are you turning the elephant into?
I was thinking like a hamster.
That works. As you're
It's
casting
a
the
lot easier
spell,
carrying than a dog.
as you are in the desert, having gotten some rest over the night, which you only remember bits and pieces of, and you only feel like you were really present for bits and pieces of the night. The next morning, you are refreshed. You, Thicket, have your polymorph prepared from your 7th level, and also for anyone that doesn't already have it, mark for a hero point. So if you have a clicked thing on the hero points, unclick it so you have one more unclicked hero point to use. Click them off as you use them. So let's see. What is the effect of casting polymorph? I'm curious. There is no effect. Polymorph gains no additional effect when it is upcast. Good to know. Well, you feel like the spell is empowered as you cast it, but it still only affects the elephant. Turn the elephant, named Rosa, as John had spoken to it and learned its name, learned that it considers Serdil, who you would have seen on the thumbnail here, to be a ninja, going around talking to ninjas. Whatever that means. Yeah, so I don't know if there's not a lot of checks to be made because y'all aren't in a rush. So over the next few minutes, I thought so too, but I just checked the text of Polymorph Garand, and it looks like it's just is. I don't know that it does more. I thought it did more targets. I'm gonna look at it again, but when I just checked it, it looked like it doesn't do more targets. Yeah, doesn't look like it to me, but if you want to check that out, maybe the spell I have in the thing is wrong. But over a few minutes to an hour, also Doug is here, hello. Over the easily a couple of hours, however long it would take, you successfully would be able to climb down and up the ravine since it's only 25-ish, 30 feet down and back up. It wouldn't even take the full hour that polymorph lasts. Is polymorph an hour? I think it is. We could check that thicket, because if not, that would actually throw a wrench into this. Let's find out.
Yes, it's an hour.
Oh, well, then there's no wrenches. Y'all be able to climb down and back up with relative ease over a few minutes. After the hour passed, or if you drop concentration, Rosa would return to her form. And as you... Sorry. I got a notification I was surprised by. As you move forward... Sorry. Phone is going away. Don't need those notifications. You'd be able to climb down and back with relative ease. Rosa would transform. And as you continue on your way, making light conversation with Serdil, the world would seem to shift yet again. As it shifts this time, though Serdil doesn't react to it, it feels like a small sandstorm travels around you. There's the swirling oddly, as you look through it, like this almost mist of energy, but the pellets of sand passing by, but not getting stuck in your fur or anything thicket. Eventually, as the sand lands back at your feet, you are standing, both of you, in this fairly large little commune. Around this fairly wide area are set up multiple small huts made of wood, or actually quite a few of them have sandstone walls jutting out of the ground. Bits of roof, some even made of sandstone, some with just wood, set up to effectively these varying shacks set around this one major building. The building itself. Did I? No, I did not have that. The building itself is a fairly large square building. Let me see how large on a side, because it's reasonable for what it is. Roughly 100 feet wide on a side. This fairly square building with 3 entrances to the southeast and west. Stepping down into the building, which the walls seem to also be made of this mixture of sand, limestone, and other materials that seem to be rather common in the desert, that reach up to this larger roof that, as it meets in the roof, seems to cover the 4 sides, and then as it gets to the middle, domes upward into some sort of skylight. That, looking inside the building, these steps down pretty reasonably go down about 5 feet over the course of 35-40 feet on these long wedge staircases of these varying stones that step down into this main area, in the center of which is a fairly gorgeous fountain of this carved, again, darker sandstone. It seems to be more saturated with the water coming from it, as gently pouring from the top, bubbling up, and then out onto the sides into the basin below is a very sizable fountain, probably 8 feet wide at the base. To each of the 4 corners of the building are these plots of surprisingly well fertilized green dirt, atop which are probably hundreds. This song is way too aggressive for this. Okay. There we go. These dozens, maybe even 100 or more, red orchids that seem to be cultivated in these plots of grass. On the north end of this wide space, as you find yourselves kind of walking in absent-mindedly, on the north end, there are steps that go downward another 5 or so feet to this 8 feet tall, coming just over the edge of the sides near it, is this darker green colored stone that makes up this doorway. But the doorway is completely full, like completely closed off with this dark sandstone, the same sort of color as the fountain. That there's no door necessarily, though there's a seam down the middle where it seems like there ought to be one. This stone is cleanly filling the space. As you take in the surroundings, you hear people. Looking around, you see various races. Halflings, humans, elves here and there. There aren't a ton of them. There's maybe 18, 20 of these people wandering around, going from different houses. Some of them look quite young, even down to 10, 11 years old, moving around, carrying things, seemingly doing busy work. Inside the building are 2 older people and Serdil, you see standing near this fountain, Cyrodiil is talking to this older woman that has this sort of dark brown skin that seems to have a rough texture to it as you see her, with these various markings along her head and arms that seem to be almost made of stone. If Thicket wants to make a R, no, that'd be a nature check to see what kind of person this is. You can. There's also the other person who is a human. Seems to be gently watering and tending to the flowers. I'm thinking you have no idea what kind of person this is. I mean, it's a person with like this kind of stony looking skin. As you step in, Cyrodiil waves over. Hey, these are my companions. We met along the way. They're druids, I believe, heading south, though I don't quite remember where they said they were going. Which actually also for you two, the others that are walking around, most of them, not all, but most of them, as soon as you look away, you seem to forget their face. And you can't seem to focus on them for very long. As though the others had experienced this, you two had not yet. Except for two. You would note, John, you would see two that seem to be sparring, fighting in this martial hand-to-hand combat. Look to be late teens, 16, 17-ish. Both boys. One is a half-orc. The other seems to be at least, a full human. That are fighting maybe a bit aggressively, but still doing some sort of practiced martial arts near one of the buildings off to the side. For some reason, their faces are quite clear. As you step into the building, Cyrodiil waves over. The older woman with the stone-like features would give a slight bow to you both. It is nice to meet you. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Though, if you're going with Cyrodiil, I imagine you'll only be here for a couple of weeks. But if you'd like to leave sooner than him, I think he'd understand if you don't want to continue. It's a rather long pilgrimage she's on, after all. I think it took me... She ponders in the air for a moment. A year and a half? 2? To make my 4 rounds.
Full rounds?
Oh, I suppose you're not familiar. Yes, the 4 spirits, that's, I guess, a generous term. We are practitioners of a form of martial arts that is in touch with the elements of nature. Cyrodiil, myself, and pretty much everyone else here at Red Orchid, we seek truth, understanding of the world, in a way I believe is not dissimilar from you druids, finding our way with the elements. And though one might be more skilled in a school than the others, and she nods over to Cyrodiil, who has a very different energy. He looks more relaxed, whereas the others are a little more rigid in their movements. The 2 boys you'd seen outside were rather aggressive, stiff stances. We make it a point that whatever school you go to, whatever monastery or abbey you train at, that when the time comes for you to move beyond your apprenticeship into properly teaching others and learning the more difficult techniques through experience, that you take a pilgrimage to visit at least the 4 main temples and preferably quite a few stops along the way. How many have you gotten so far, Cyrodiil? Well, there's here. I went to the... Oh, now I gotta grab my note. Do. He is from over... there. He went this way. So he would have gone. I went up to Calcite first for the main air temple there, and then headed my way south. I figured I'd reach the water first, head back up through the other locations, hitting the earth and air temples. I'm sorry, the earth and fire temples. It seemed like a good spot along the way. I'm hoping to get a boat from Schist, but I'm considering taking the long way around. I'm in no rush. It's not something to be taken quickly. Even if you practice the way of water, what's the word? The way of blue waters. Flow slowly. She looks to you, kind of waiting for some sort of response after the answer to the question, but not really knowing, but looking as though she doesn't really know what you're going to say next. Almost has a confused look, like something's not quite right, but she can't put her finger on it, but she's not going to say anything.
So
Are you a go with the flow kind of person?
I personally am rather rigid in my rules, but to each their own. I find as she looks around at the flowers, caring for the earth is a good pastime for me. Teaching those around here. I'm in no rush. I'm happy to stand and wait.
why so rigid? Is there some sort of moral reason for that?
Well, yes, I mean, there's the ways that the gods have taught us, the sanctity of life, the protection of what has come and what will be, teaching up a new generation, the value in standing in your morals and standing for what's right, to not give an inch when others would try to persuade you.
I like you.
I'm glad, little one. Sorry. As you see stumbling in from the eastern side, this fairly tired-looking man. An elf. It's hard to tell the age, but young adult. Stumbling in, sand, burned clothes, sunburns along his arms. He looks quite thirsty. As Saradil and this older woman move over, they bring him forward, getting him a drink and bring him to sit down next to the fountain. Are you a traveler? Yeah, I'm headed north to see my family. I was having a hard time finding my way around, but I stumbled here, and I'm very glad. I don't know how much longer I would have made it. Well, in good hopes, you will be able to find your way. We can point you the right direction. As you all feel a blur, or you two feel a blur over the next few minutes, you find yourself aware of helping this man, giving him water, some food. A whole day, 2 or more passing, eventually seeing him ushered off, heading in a northern direction. For some reason, him having chosen to leave near nightfall. As the time passes, you can feel the difference in the air. been days, maybe a week, maybe less. Hard to tell. You find yourself accompanying Cerdil and those here at this Red Orchid place. Team Power. You find yourself in the desert. It's hot. Sand in your lungs, as much as you'd like there not to be. Very warm.
That sounds like a
Dehydrated.
medical issue.
The desert?
Sand in your lungs.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fair. But if you've ever been in a very windy desert, breathing in a little bit of sand is unfortunately part of life. I mean, not really. You avoid it as much as possible. There's a reason people wear scarves over their mouths. But in this case, you feel a little bit of it, but not much, thankfully. You three, the scouts that had helped you, and a few others, find yourselves in a tent. Rather stern one set up. Dayton looking haggard, looking over a map. He has to be near here. There's no way he could have gotten much farther, not on his own. And you are sure? He looks up toward Garand. You're sure they said in the schist that he was headed this way?
Okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me. I thought we were just on the boat. Did I miss something when we finished last time, or was it?
You were on a boat, and then fog and sand seemed to overtake you, as it has seemed to fall and change. And though you feel slightly more rested, having regained your HP back, effectively a short rest, you found yourself in a different place. A similar feeling to when you'd shown up on the boat in the first place.
Okay. Does it seem like I don't know. I guess he's thinking I'm someone else. So, yeah, as far as I know,
Good. Let's see. There should be some kind of landmark I've got listed on the map nearby. We'll go ask if they've seen them. Picking up the map, you follow him as he leaves, actually getting a couple of these lighter horses that he leads you to take one in him as well, and riding out a couple of miles. You find yourself coming upon this commune of various houses, this 100-foot wide square building in the center, this dome on top. As you approach, riding past people that give you looks, these forgettable faces, the ones you can't seem to focus on. As you ride up, coming to this main building, stepping inside, you three would immediately recognize, at this point, there is a man, there is 2 people in the room, or 4 people in the room, standing off to the side, looking a bit confused and kind of just spectating. You would see John and Thicket. Watering some of the plants is this half-elven man wearing a different garb than the others who wear more browns and whites to match the desert. This man has darks, browns, and greens. This older woman, probably mid to late 50s, the same of the same description I gave a minute ago. The almost earth-like skin stands up from where she was sitting by the fountain, seemingly meditating, walking up to you all and Dayton as he steps into the building. How goes? It goes well. How may I help you? We're searching for someone. A fugitive. Yeah. Stole some rather expensive objects from a royal family to the south, the merfolk. You wouldn't happen to have seen this elven man? As he describes what you, Thicket, and John would immediately recognize as the guy that showed up.
Plot thickens.
She looks over. What do you plan to do with this man? Should you find him? Preferably, take him alive. If he resists, unfortunately, that may not be the case, but preferably, we'll simply get what we need. As she looks at Dayton. Forgive me, but I don't trust you. I don't get the sense that you'd try very hard to save this man's life. Listen, all we need is to find what we need and move on. Preferably with him alive. I mean, that's what they want. I'm not going to try and kill him if we don't have to. A few silent moments pass. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you where he's gone. He did stop here, but he left. Uh-huh. He's not still here? No. You're welcome to check the houses if you find yourselves in need of such a thing. Would you mind if we get a drink? Dayton says, leading the others inside. Not at all. The fountain is fresh water. As he steps down, you feel a bit of tension in the room. Is there anything any of you would like to do as Dayton quietly steps up and gets a drink from the fountain? The older woman looking a bit tense, and Saradil off to the side looking a little bit concerned and tense as well. As Dayton stands up. And what's behind there? As he points. The downward steps in the door. Tomb of an ancient guardian of this land that we protect the tomb of. And would you mind if we checked that out as well? The houses fail. You may not. We cannot allow anyone in there. It's been sealed for over 200 years now. And we don't intend to open it again. Not at all. If it is absolutely necessary, I or one of the other elders can enter and check for you, but we cannot allow you in. Uh-huh. I'm sure. Well, we'll just take a look around, and I'm sure everything will be fine. Maybe we'll have some luck finding a trace of where he's gone, even if you choose not to help us. My apologies, but I cannot aid in such an activity. It will lead where I believe it will. Dayton will begin to look through the houses as he kind of motions for y'all to as well, but doesn't seem to react if you do or don't.
Question:
Yes.
Isn't Sertal just like watering plants?
Yep.
How blind is he? Gives an accurate enough description that we know who he is, or we know who he's describing, but
Well,
he doesn't
Cyrodiil is
see him himself.
Cyrodiil is a half elf. The person he described, and the person that the elder woman seemed to be referring to, was the man who'd showed up days prior.
It was the guy who
Was-
left in the middle of the night for seemingly no reason.
Yep.
Until apparently now, when we find out people are looking for him.
Yeah. The description seemed to match that guy.
Oh, I thought you meant it matched Sertal.
Nah, it's not Cyrodiil.
Okay.
Cyrodiil has never been to Reef. At least not yet. Which is
Gotcha.
where the power team is coming from. So, you're all welcome to do as you'd like. It seems there is time here, where the memory seems to take you other places, for here there's time.
Look over to Gambit and say, yeah, I don't know the likelihood that we can carry anything out of here, but I think it's worth trying. So, I'm going to look around for a magic shop.
Alright, make an investigation check as you look around the commune. The abbey, technically, but technically also not. There's weird stipulations for it to be called an abbey officially. A commune is technically more accurate. And the rest of you?
I'll go
Is-
with Grand.
I want to go talk to Dayton.
You eventually find him searching through some of the houses under these fairly basic cots, going through a couple of boxes that the people that live here don't seem to mind as he goes through. Unfortunately, Garand, as you look through, you can't seem to find much of anything. I mean, there's just stone house and stone house and stone house. You actually see what you think looks like a shop at one point, but upon entering, it is actually just another house. You find a cooking
Then I'll just
area.
ask Gambit's help. I'm having trouble figuring it out.
Gambit, as you look around, would you like to make a check?
Sure. Investigation?
Sure. And was it John you were looking for Dayton?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would find him looking through one of the houses.
Oh, rip.
I mean, you find a kitchen at one point, Gambit. Lots of it made of stone. These people seem to like their sandstone. There's some wood.
These people must hate magic.
Clearly, that's definitely the conclusion to come to. Are you doing anything once you find Dayton, John?
I want to ask him why he doesn't believe that the dude left. Because I can give a first-hand account that he left.
Is that, what are you saying? That's what you'd like to do, but what are you doing?
Sir, why are you continuing to look for this guy? He actually did leave. Like a little while ago.
Can you tell me where he went?
He didn't say. He kind of just turned up one day, kind of lost and exhausted. And we kind of nursed him back to health and he left. He didn't say where he was going. Sadly.
You feel
I mean, I'd love to help you as much as the next guy, but I have no clue where he went.
I'm sure you don't. You and everyone else giving the same response. You didn't see a direction, didn't see a time, how many days ago it was.
Everything's kind of a blur here at the commune.
Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll have your reasons why you don't want me in your little shrine.
Well, I
I'd
mean,
feel
you
more
kind of just
comfortable if I
barged
was
in
able
here.
to check.
You kind of just barged in here and, demanding to find a dude that you say stole something. As much as we'd like to help you, he did leave. And you're kind of making everybody uncomfortable by searching the place.
I've been around your types before. I suspect if he was here, you would hide him.
Oh, probably. But
And that's why I can't trust you.
there's not a great place to hide him.
Except, a shrine.
You make a decent point on that case.
He will push past you as he moves on to another house. Is there anything Thicket or Doug would like to do?
Doug is gonna kind of like wishbone the I guess the shattered memory, just to kind of see if like it kind of gives off a little like guidance or like some kind of inclination of maybe this area I should investigate.
Oh, you mean like a divining rod of sorts?
Kind of. Or if he just
Unfortunately,
notices.
it would not change. It's still in its partially see-through, ethereal sort of look that it's had since you entered the memories.
Or he doesn't get a sense that like there's something else that's, I guess, similar in nature.
Make a perception check.
Perception. As always.
Nope, you don't notice anything. Thicket?
I don't know. I kind of want to like see if I can fucking check the guy.
Try to find the guy.
No, like vibe check him.
Which guy? Dayton?
The one who's like looking around all
Yeah.
suspicious like.
Make an insight
That'd be
check.
Dayton.
That would be Dayton. Captain Dayton Morley. You get a bad vibe, man. I mean, he feels like a bad dude. He gives off the same energy as like bad mercenaries, kind of like
Bounty hunter.
yeah, bounty hunter type vibe. Kind of a doesn't care how things are, where he goes. He just needs to do the job and move on. A similar sort of almost arrogance to Valander, I believe was his name. Doug's friend from the friend in quotations associate. Associate friend, however you would describe him. That's not my decision to make. From the Orange Sun, kind of a similar sort of an arrogant, I do what I need to do and my work is more important than how things are right in this location sort of feeling.
How much do we remember this guy?
Dayton?
No, not Dayton. The stranger.
Bits and pieces. His face, as you try to think about it, doesn't really come back. You have a hard time remembering the same way you can with Saradil and others. The same sort of way that the other people in the commune just seem to lose their identity as they move away from you in the memory. he had a bag. He looked a bit rough, but he was given new clothes by the people there, given food. But he had a bag he might have been protective of. Hard to remember.
Hmm.
As the time passes, Dayton would eventually collect the team power as he would ask you to come with and kind of expect you to, as you, presumably, unless one of you says you don't, would head back to camp he seems to have made for his group. As it leads into the afternoon from that, as he returns to the camp, Thicket and John, you would both be approached as Cyrodiil moves up, seemingly a bit out of sorts, a bit on the nervous side. You can tell immediately, Thicket. I've got a bad feeling about tonight. Would you help me get all the younger students and civilians away from here? Hopefully it'll just be for the night. We can get them to Feldspar, and that'll be that. But I'd prefer them not to be nearby if something happens.
Yeah, that sounds wise.
Of course, I'll be willing to help.
Thank you. Is there anything in particular y'all would like to do to help persuade and get all of these younger monks, ? To go north to Feldspar from where they consider, in a way, to be their home? Feldspar isn't terribly far away. Cyrodiil seems convinced they could get there, but they need to be persuaded to leave and potentially given help. Is there anything y'all would like to do? If nothing comes to mind, then simple persuasion checks as you try to get
Yeah.
everyone to move.
For like the little kids or whatever, I could turn into like an elk or something and be like, follow the pretty elk.
Well, as you look around, you see most
We'll
of
guide you to
these.
safety.
There's pretty much no one younger than like 10 years old. There's no small
Okay.
children here. Some adults, some teenagers, a few toward that age to 10 or 11, but there's no small children.
Not to mention, I feel like that would give off Pied Piper vibes.
Just a bit. I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, that sounds a little sus.
Yeah, I think just do a persuasion check. Dude.
All right, make a couple of persuasion checks, see how long it might take.
How
Neither
many?
of those were all that. Oh, that wasn't really good.
Oddly enough,
That's
Thicket is the most.
perception. Sorry.
That is that's true. You don't have nearly as good of a charisma score.
Persuasion. There we go.
Is
Even
everyone good?
worse.
Oh, lovely.
All right, that'll make a difference.
Is this a
Hmm?
Is this a party check or just John and Thicket?
Nope, just John and Thicket. Y'all were led back with Dayton.
Oh yeah, that's right.
As you find yourselves back at his camp, a bit away, less than an hour's ride. He is standing in the tent looking over the map, seemingly having drawn up a different map of the space. I prefer this to be simple and quiet. He looks up to you three. But I'm certain, I've got a gut feeling, that inside of that vault, that shrine, is where they're keeping him. At least when we approach. Any recommendations?
I think you're wrong.
Do you have any better leads? Because at this point, Our quarry could be anywhere. Honestly, maybe just threatening to enter the shrine and they'd tell us where he went. Which direction. Anything. But at this point, if we don't know where he went, how long ago, he could just be gone. And I will not let Ashburn die for nothing. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find this guy. If you don't want to come with me, then don't.
I think you're going off the deep end, dude. You shouldn't let your grief terrorize people.
He seems unresponsive as he continues to work on his makeshift map and plan.
Did you get us attached to an antagonist? I don't like that.
Antagonism is always hinged on the perspective.
That's fair.
Antagonism is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Except for beholders, they're just the antagonists. There's no eye for that one. It's just the beholder is the antagonist. Literally in the eye of the beholder is where the antagonism is. Just stab the eye. That usually works. Highly recommend it.
Funny.
Doug, Garand, is there anything I would like to do or persuade, recommend, battle plan or otherwise?
I mean, Doug was always told, act first, ask for permission later, or forgiveness later.
All right. As he makes this plan, where he asks if at least two of you would come in with him, a little bit of a show of force, and just ask to look in there, or for them to tell any information on where the guy went. And if you don't want to be with him, then perhaps off to the other sides of the doors where he mentions he's going to have his other troops prepared in case something happens, in case they need to force their way into the shrine.
Hey, Dayton. Just FYI, if I can just see a little bit of into that place, I could potentially like sneak around without having to like fully, I guess just barge in.
Good. Maybe you can sneak over while we're talking. I like that plan.
Because above table, the party does not know the correlation between the two, I guess, main characters of the story, correct?
Being who?
Being like the wisdom team and the power team in terms of
Oh, yeah.
whatever-
We probably don't know each other's names, right?
Whatever, I mean, you would not know what they've done. You wouldn't know. Heck, you may not even know the name of the guy Serdale that was standing over looking different, the half elf.
Right.
And of course, the wisdom team doesn't know anything that happened on the boat.
Right. So Doug is just going to play as if he is unaware and he is just going to help Dayton however he can.
Okay. Is Garant going to do anything this time or play along?
I feel woefully inadequate. Maybe it's the jumping back and forth, but I feel like I barely know what's going on. So I apologize for whatever I'm missing, but
No worries. I can cover Essentially,
I don't know.
it
I'm having a hard
seems
time following this
it
series of
seems
events.
in a large way that Dayton and his group is searching for an elf that stole the crown jewels of the merfolk, he says, or he was told. And y'all been pursuing him the time on the boat to losing Ashburn, who Dayton seemed to be quite close to, and whether that's clouding his judgment or otherwise, Dayton seems rather set on searching inside of this shrine or forcing information out of the people at Red Orchid via threats of violence, if necessary or otherwise, to try and find these crown jewels. And then on the power or on the wisdom side, they seem to be they are accompanying Serdil, who seems to be a monk traveling around, and that those at the Red Orchid, as far as the wisdom team understands and as far as they experienced, the guy isn't there. The elf that they believe, at least, stole the jewels has come and gone. But that the elders at this commune, this abbey, are rather against giving Dayton clear information to follow this guy, though they were allowing him to look around at the commune. That they didn't want to give Dayton a really solid lead, because they seem to be under the impression that if Dayton finds this guy, the elf, the thief, he will kill him. And the elders don't seem to want that to happen via a sanctity of life concern or otherwise. You don't fully know, no one's explicitly asked, though that seems to be the impression the elder is giving off. And so Serdil is concerned and has enlisted the help of Thicket and John to basically persuade all non-combatants, students, anyone that isn't an accomplished monk, to go to Feldspar out of concern that something will happen. And Dayton seems to be intent on something happening, coming in and threatening or pushing past to enter the shrine that is at Red Orchid. Apparently there is this shrine where an ancient guardian was buried within this building, within this monastery, that they refused to allow Dayton to enter or look around in at all. And Dayton believes that they are hiding the elf there. But given that they refused to tell him where he went, that makes him think that they're hiding the elf there, or that even if they knew where he went, or if they are hiding him there, they would lie about it to protect this, in his eyes, scummy thief. Does that clear up the kind
Apologize that I'm making this harder on you, Micah.
No, you're good.
Maybe, but like honestly, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just having a hard time putting my head around all this. I don't know, but effectively, I'm gonna go with the best that I can. First off, just as a side thing, if Gambit and I couldn't figure out the layout, if we did have time, I think that I would have tried to convince Gambit to help me start knocking on doors and asking around if anybody has items. So but if you want to just go with it's too late and OL, then so be it. But
you would find
that's the first
out.
Thing. Now the second thing is I'm gonna say.
You can continue.
Okay, well I'm just saying like whatever that is fine. But like the other thing is, am I cutting out? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're back.
You're good.
My internet is still not okay. Okay. I can hear you guys fine. I don't know why it's having a hard time with, like, you guys sound great. I don't know how, whatever that means, but anyway.
It happens occasionally.
Okay, so with the dude is I'm gonna say I don't rightly agree with my friend on this one. I think prudence is the better part of valor in this case, and I would highly recommend that we try to resolve this, because I will stand by you should he dare to even breathe a violent word in your direction. But to instigate that, there's a difference between a thief and a murderer. So I don't see the purpose of being so voracious in our approach. And I understand you are also grieving, and I don't want to take that lightly, but it's not rightly his responsibility that it happened. Now, you could argue, well, we wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him. But at the end of the day, your friend made his choice to stand by you and to pursue this with you. So don't dishonor his choice by trying to blame someone else. He imagined that he was happy to be by your side, and I can imagine that him passing with you near was enough of an encouragement to him. So honor him, honor his choices. And again, I'm willing to stand by your side if danger, even remotely, is a hint in the room, a small wafted scent. But that's not where a person should begin. A person should never start there, if at all possible. So, I please, I implore you, let me stand by your side. Should the dice roll that way. But
Not to
please,
worry.
let us try to reason with this man and see if we can... Okay.
If we can take the peaceful route first, I will. I would
So
like to
that's-
talk first. We have to force our way past. I'd avoid killing anyone as much as possible, but if we have to force our way around, I won't let this man escape, if we can help it. Don't worry, we will take the peaceful action as much as possible with these monks. I don't intend to kill anyone if I don't have to.
Also, let's not desecrate public property. That's a bad idea, too.
If we don't have to, though it seems, as he motions over to Doug, it seems at least someone is willing to enter this tomb if we can get him an opportunity. A simple look around. I don't intend to do
I said
anything
I'd
with this
stand with
place.
you.
Oh no, he motioned over to Doug.
Doug just kind of gives.
Yeah, I know.
Oh. Yeah, he was leaning more toward Gambit. Then it's settled. We take the peaceful approach as much as possible. And God's willing, nothing will occur. We'll get the information we need and move forward. Also, as for the question regarding the magic items, shops to look around for, asking around, you would be able to find out rather quickly. There's no store in the commune, and they aren't really magic, like, they don't make magic items there, as far as the people would tell you. And so I'm actually going to refund your hero point that you spent on it, because there was nothing to find in terms of an item shop. Yeah, sorry about that one.
Okay. It's fine. I mean, you run the game how you want. I just, it seemed like, oh, you have time, and then I made one roll. It's like, okay, now you're at a camp. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, my bad.
That's all.
If there was anything else you wanted to do with time, you're welcome to go back and do those. But as far as magic item looking for, no. Unfortunately, there is not any there to be found. If there's anything else you have in mind, if you want to talk to Thicket or John or anything, you are welcome to.
Did we recognize them? We did recognize them?
Yes, you did.
Then yeah, I mean, I definitely would have gone up to Thicket and said, I'm so glad that you're right. I would have started like brain dumping, like trying to get to know what he's going through and what and let him know what I'm going through and stuff.
Then
so
go
that way,
for
like,
it.
let him know that Gambit is safe and
Time shenanigans.
yeah.
You
oh my
come
god,
over.
you guys fought a Hydra?
Yeah, no, it was pretty wild. It basically killed me almost. That was delightful.
Whoa.
It decided to really just make its point known in me. I went from perfectly fine to basically dying. So it was a wild moment.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die. That would have been very
Yeah,
bad.
I wonder what would have happened. I know it's supposed to be like Dreamworld and all, but yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, at least let me die in the real world, not in someone's dream. Anyway, so we're helping this bloke, and he wants to try to find the person who he believes has kidnapped or stolen the crown or crown jewels or scepter or some sort of royal artifact of the merfolk. And he seems quite adamant about it, but he seems to be convinced that he wants to handle things in a peaceful situation, but he's leaning more towards Doug, who tends to be a little bit more aggressive. So I am apprehensive, but I will hopefully keep him close and disable him if necessary, but I do not wish to harm him, of course. Find this person and let him know that we want to talk and work it out. Then nothing more needs to happen. No one needs to be in danger. And you know, I can prepare Gambit. Gambit can ready some sort of like, you know, incapacitation sort of attack. Should he kind of go back, renege on his word. You know, it's not right to just outright murder someone because they stole something. I mean, that's escalating quite a bit. So it's not like, you know. Anyway, so if you have any way to speak with him, then by all means, please let him know. Let him know that, you know, you have allies and all, and yeah.
Wait, speak with who?
The stranger dude.
Oh.
Fizadil or something. I don't know. All the names get so jumbled up in my brain sometimes. You know, if it's not a song or some sort of you know, wordplay, I'm absolutely useless. So
Wait, was it actually Fizadel?
We don't actually know his name, I don't think.
Which
Okay,
guy?
because I was like, Fizadel is the water elemental that we met
Yeah.
in Feldspar.
Which person were you referring to as Faisadel Garand? I'm just curious.
I don't know, the elf, I guess, that we're looking for.
Okay.
The elf that we're looking for, or whatever.
Did they
So,
know
I
his
mean,
name? Did they say?
Yeah.
Did they say the name when they were around Dayton?
I don't think so. So I guess right now is up to you if you want to say anything. Thicket, if you want to say the guy's name or Saradale's name or anything else.
Wait, do I know his name?
The thief? No.
Oh.
In fact, you can barely remember his face. If at all.
Rip.
Oddly enough, it seems the sword has decided the thief is not important to this story.
All right.
Yup.
DM saying move on.
Hey, I mean, he didn't say the name. It didn't, you know. I mean, it just is. It isn't the thing. Whether you
There
move
was
on
no
or not
note
is
to
up
that
to you.
story.
I mean, the theory that that's Faisadel is certainly an interesting one. Not to knock on you, Garand. I don't mean any of this negatively. Continue. Enjoy
I
your
will
roleplay.
tell Garan that I will keep an eye out, but I don't
So tell Garand to
think it's likely that he'll come back.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Right now, I've been asked to help evacuate a whole bunch of people in the area just in case this dude who's looking for the guy is like gonna take some extreme measures. We're all kind of worried.
How
Right,
crazy is this guy?
well,
What do you think
then
he'll do if he doesn't find him?
I got bad vibes from him.
I don't know. He seemed a little overconfident that he was just fine and just wanted to talk. I'm not really good at reading people like you are, Thicket, but it didn't feel right, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I can inform Gambit that it's not likely that we'll find this person, so to be ready to help incapacitate him.
Is Doug in on this group conversation?
Sure. I mean, if that's
I-
okay with, unless Garan would have pulled them aside, then it's certainly reasonable, I think.
Because I didn't know if like Doug would.
I went to speak to him. He didn't know that anybody was around, but
I mean, Doug could have spotted if that's
it's fine.
okay.
I don't know.
with y'all.
It's weird because we're having to do weird, like back and forth time stuff.
Yeah, it's no worries.
It's fine. It's whatever. I don't know. It's time. I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Say
so
what-
lost.
say
I
what
don't
you
know. I
wanna
feel awful.
say,
what,
Doug.
Say what you want to say.
No,
Let the words
Doug
fall
just-
out.
Doug just didn't know if, or I guess Jack did not know if Doug was roped into the group conversation or if Doug was with Dayton advising, or I guess coming up with some plan to like somehow sneak in. So Jack was just asking for clarity before he chimed in.
At this point, I don't think you were doing anything in particular, so you could chime in, I suppose.
Okay. But yeah, sure. Doug is just going to chime in, and it's like, what bad vibes? I mean, he seems determined, but like, is that not a good thing?
He seems like he's
No, sometimes it's just a
determined
gut.
to get the job.
Determined to get the job.
The sword that resembles much of the shattered memories, so I feel like it's best that we follow him because
Just because he has it doesn't mean he's gonna do anything good with it.
yeah, but like the whole point of
I
us
would
being
like to make a quick memory check on the players. So for one, Thicket, you would remember that you spotted the same necklace around Saradel's neck that you remember finding on the Shattered Memory when y'all found the Red Orchid ruins. And also, well, I don't know if you distinctly remember. Do you players remember what you found and how you found the Red Orchid ruins? And like what it looked like when you found it?
I remember there was a big dome and the sword was in the middle. And there were pillars.
Okay.
there was also like there was also like statues, and the sword was in the stone.
The sword was stabbed into stone. Not like a rock like sword in the stone, but like stabbed into the ground that was made of stone.
And I mean, weren't the statues more of like or wasn't there like a wall, kind of like hieroglyphics, but not?
I believe that was the pillars I was referring to.
Those were the pillars that seemed to be erected on the outside of this dome, yes.
Obelisks.
Which,
or
as of
whatever.
now, you've not noticed any of those obelisks.
But yeah, Doug was just referencing the fact that like, well, we're all here, guys, because of the sword's memories. So wouldn't it be smart to like follow the sword? So if Dayton has the sword, then like that's who we should be going with.
Going with, but maybe not siding with morally.
Well,
What's
I mean,
the DM? What's the name of the person who has the medallion or whatever?
Cyrodiil.
Cyrodiil?
Cyrodiil
Cyrodiil.
of Carolus.
I keep forgetting. I'm trying to like cement it in my brain, and it's not sticking.
Here, I'll throw it into the session highlights.
Thank you.
I take notes, Maury.
See, if I take notes, then I won't be listening to what's being said at the moment. I'll just constantly being like, wait, what did you just say?
I can definitely understand that.
I type very slowly. Many people can attest to this.
Which, oddly enough, for the geographically minded who would know Vacuo, like John, Carolus isn't a place you've ever heard of. Cerdil from a place that you've never heard of.
Yeah, they mentioned a few different places so far of things that I've not seen on the Vacuo map, except for Schist. That's like the only thing I heard them mention that exists.
Yeah, but he could be from another continent, couldn't he?
It's true. It's entirely possible.
An
I mean,
alien.
he is on a pilgrimage, so he could be from anywhere.
It is entirely possible, yes. Any assumptions you choose to make are your own. Would anyone like to make any intelligence checks to see if their characters remember anything about the Red Orchid ruins?
Sure, why not?
Well, for one, it's in ruins, so that's the first hint.
Intelligence check.
I would offer, but I wasn't there.
That's true. You literally can't remember. Thicket doesn't remember any of it. The sword was there.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, that's horrible.
I remember Moretta trying lightning spells.
It's true. Moretta was trying lightning spells. Doug and Garand would both remember that the way you found the ruins was in ruins. There was no roof that was still up. There were fallen pillars, parts of walls broken, and down toward the center there was a broken fountain, dry and broken, and next to the fountain, stabbed into the ground, was the shattered memory, and hanging on it around the handle was the necklace of Cerdil. What you now know is the necklace of Cerdil, which is in Doug's inventory.
So it's more of like a grave site.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna tell Doug, well, we've noticed the necklace on Cerdil, so yes, we could follow the sword, but we could also follow the necklace as well, or maybe both.
They're probably intertwined.
They end up together eventually.
So maybe if we each follow one of them, or continue to follow one of them, we'll end up back together, I guess.
Have they not met each other yet?
Oh.
Dayton and
Cerdil?
They had one conversation, which was, hey, have you seen this guy? Well, what are you going to do with the guy? Hopefully bring him back alive, but really we just want the stuff he took.
Essentially. They have not exchanged names, if that's what you mean.
They have technically met, but not formally.
Dayton's so impolite.
He's on a mission.
I mean, we're already in the past, so I don't know too much about changing the past or fate or whatnot. However deep you want to get into that. But I mean, even if Dayton is up to no good and maybe his course of action would not be swayed, or maybe us being here actually makes this plan already in action set in a way.
So,
and the more you try to sway it in a different direction, it just backfires.
Clarification question. We're not actually living the actual past. We're living what the sword wants us to see. So we're not affecting real events. Right?
You are not affecting real events, and nothing you do here will change history.
The conclusion of this story is where the story would have actually ended up. But the sword has the ability to change details.
Yes. How it gets there can
allowing
change,
us to technically be
but
here.
you get the impression that the major memories of the sword will not change. For example, it did not allow Garand to heal Ashburn. It seemed to be a thing that was going to happen. And other things can change, certainly. And the memory ritual is allowing, if things change, but it seems that there are things that won't.
So we have free will to a point.
Yes, effectively. You're living the memories of a weapon. I do not have the confidence to attempt to do actual time travel, at least not yet in games. Maybe someday. Oh, if people are talking, I've suddenly lost the ability to hear. And it looks like they are. 1 second, stream. Let's see.
Like going in the same direction.
There we go. Hello, people are back. I missed the last 15 seconds, I think. I don't know exactly what happened.
Just proposed stealing the necklace and or the sword.
Doug was not saying stealing the necklace or the sword. Doug was just saying, have them travel together.
I don't think they morally align. So I don't think they would agree to travel together.
Are you suggesting we get Dayton and Cyril to travel together?
I'm just suggesting that history somehow had both items together, so they obviously knew or cared about the other for them to give up the...
They end up... the items end up together eventually. It's unclear whether or not they ended up in one place on good terms.
Yeah.
I.e., one person might have died for them to end up together.
The situation that you found them in, I don't know if anybody's explained this to John yet, but the situation you found them in sort of suggests a battle and a death of some kind, from my perspective.
I mean, well, even if they were at odds, then if, let's say, one fought the other till the death, then, maybe the other one who was the victor had remorse and put 2 and 2 together.
Possibly, but we kind of had to play it out to find out.
So we're still going to split up and just follow them individually?
I don't see.
Well, I think they're kind of destined to end up together eventually, and we're just sort of following their paths.
Yeah, so we can explore both sides of the story. I assume our DM has probably written out both sides of the story.
Doug, in his, I guess, however he would interpret it, would be well, doesn't it make sense to just put them both together? And wouldn't that speed up the interaction faster than going with them separately?
True, it would speed things up, but I don't know what sort of animosity it would cause trying to force the items together. So I think it would be best to just sort of leave them be and observe.
Yeah, I think we're here more to observe than to influence.
Well, I have to be honest and I say, I think the sword is testing us.
In what way?
Yeah,
What's the test?
maybe to see
I've
if
never
we're worthy. I
taken
don't
a
know.
test.
What's a test? And who's Johnny?
I'm sure.
if
I'm
it
sure
just-
Thicken knows what tests
if it just wanted to
are.
show us
He's just
memories-
never taken one.
You
Come
were
again,
saying?
Garand?
I don't know. Maybe we didn't ask enough questions early on, but it seems to me that the sword wants something from us. It doesn't make sense to try to include us in some way, unless. So
Should I ask
I
Cerdil
don't know.
if
I think the
Dayton
best
is
choice
their
is yes.
secret lover?
What? No.
I don't know. How do these items end up together?
I think you're confused on what together means.
No, I'm
Um,
just the only person brave enough to consider all of the possibilities.
what if we just tell Dayton and Cyrodiil the future, and then just
I
Like-
think that would just be sad.
But I mean, like, we don't know what happened in the future. I mean, of course, everyone knows that they age and then eventually die, but so they know death is in the future regardless.
We're all going to die.
But like, maybe giving them the like implanted seed of these items are eventually going to end up like this, and then just, I don't know, see if, like, as it gets closer to that time, if we kind of set that that thought process in action.
Why are we trying to force it?
I'm not saying force it. I'm just saying, like, I guess help it along by, but yeah, just kind of like helping it along, not forcing, but just letting them know of like, well, this is how we found it, but we don't know
Yeah.
how they
Wouldn't that
interact.
just make us sound crazy?
I mean, it
Hey,
might.
we're
I
time
don't think that's the
travelers,
right
and
way
we
to go.
just
I really think.
and we know that you guys are gonna like fight to the death or something.
What was
But we
that,
don't know
Garand?
that though. That's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think yes, the best point is that we don't know that that's what's going to happen. We don't know they fight to the death. All we know is the items end up together. It doesn't matter how that happens. So let's figure that out. Let's go with. I think the right idea is yes, we go on the separate paths, and I agree they will come together at some point in some way. Let's just see how it plays out. The sword wants to show us this stuff. Let it show it however it wants to, and we will make the best that we can. And I know that I can try to do everything I can to keep everybody alive.
If we're splitting up, do you guys want good berries?
Doug immediately nods his head.
Cool.
Please.
I will hand Doug the entire 10 berries of a casting of good berries.
And then Doug will immediately disperse one to each person.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, I finally
So
get good
everyone
berries.
has one good berry to heal 1 HP, and Doug has 5. I think. Nope, Doug should have 6. Yep, 6.
Are you adding those to our inventories or something?
I wasn't going to, but I can if you'd like.
Oh. Well, I don't have any of them in my inventory because never gotten them.
I don't usually add them, but I can.
Oh, never
Let
mind.
me add. It's usually just a kind of thing we say, and then.
Personally, I find that, like, unless it's a whole travel sequence where it's like everyone gets a certain amount of good berries every day, then it's kind of not worth it to check for good berries because it's really just until the end of the day.
Yeah. Functionally, Doug has 6 1 HP increases to heal someone from down or just eat, and then everyone else has 1 of those.
Everyone's got a no die berry.
Yeah, everyone has a don't die berry. Ariel,
I wonder, are these berries we could just put under our tongue so that way as soon as we take the last blow we can just bite down as a reaction to like automatically restore?
I think going unconscious doesn't lead a reaction for you to chew and swallow.
You know, like how people would take like the poison pills if they were ever like caught.
Yes, but this is a berry.
It is functionally the size of like a blueberry. I think. Did we say they were blackberry flavored?
I said they were ambrosia. They just taste like whatever you want them to taste like.
Whatever you want them to taste like. Okay, so what are y'all choosing to do? Are y'all separating? Are y'all preparing anything in particular?
I guess just helping evacuate some more.
Yep. I agree.
Is there anything Doug, Garand, or Gambit would like to accomplish, do, or otherwise? Or say, I suppose. Conversation is also a thing.
I think Doug is just going to continue to like aid Dayton to a degree. Maybe like go ahead and get a scope of like the shrine and as to how he could possibly get in.
Okay, Gambit and Garand, is there anything in particular y'all would like to do, not do, or anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. Garand?
I'm going to explain to Gambit that I think that our actions here are relatively minor. It seems that since there is some level of danger, as she let us know before we came in, I think the most important thing is anybody that attacks one of us, or should they attack Thicket, or even John, and of course Doug, I think they need to be our primary targets. I think otherwise we might just be able to just watch and see how it goes. I'm hesitant to. It's very confusing. I don't understand how this works. I don't know how there's danger if it's only showing us memories, and if it's more than memories, then I don't understand to what degree we can affect it. So honestly, I guess just be ready to hurt someone.
I'm right there with you. Agree.
All right. Is that functionally the plan? Are y'all going to do as much as you can to watch as opposed to interact?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if, at least from Grant's perspective, as long as, because if it's really just a memory, then as long as no one that we know from our group is in danger, then I guess it's just going to show us the memory, because it doesn't make sense. There's something more here that we're not getting, and until somehow, a great revelation happens, I can't fathom what's going on. So I don't know. Like I said, I just feel lost, and I feel dumb, and I'm sorry if I'm making things harder for you, Mike. I'm not.
You're not
picking
done.
this up as well as I would like.
I can understand. It's not something I fully explained, because in narrative, it's not fully explained. You're not dumb. And what y'all choose to do, however y'all choose to do it, is nothing to be concerned about. There's no way to there's no way to play the game wrong unless you're not having fun, in which case that can be a different conversation. You're not dumb. All right. Do we want to take a break and then play for another 30-45 minutes? It is 9:53 my time. Or would we like to perhaps do an outro and leave it for next time, or anything else? If anyone has any suggestions or ideas.
I'm
take
good
a break.
Yeah. Like, I would at least want to get to the point where if they do branch out, they branch out. Or if they do stick together, then they stick together. But at least have it going in some direction before ending.
All right. Then let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break. And then 5-10-ish minute break, and then come back for another 30-40 minutes. Cool beans. This music is somber. Let's go to jazz.
I found the exact episode where Thicket bought the flower from Schist.
Nice. What was it?
It is so the shop is called A Dream of Water, and the shopkeeper is a woman with white hair. Wasn't described as any race, so I assume human. Is named Muriel Tigray. I don't know how that's spelled.
Okay, Muriel Tigray.
The flower is a white daffodil named Angel Tear. You said it was from the species Nemesis. But going on Google and searching for any species of daffodil with the name Nemesis just led to articles about Greek mythology with the god Narcissus and their conflict with Nemesis, and something about creating daffodils. I don't know.
Well, now I'm trying to remember.
So I don't know if it was supposed to be the species Narcissus, because that is an actual species of daffodil.
It may have been that.
But you said Nemesis. So anyways, the angel's tear symbolizes wealth and love. According to legend, it stems from a story about an angel who fell in love with a human man, but they couldn't be together because it's a human and an angel. And so she cried because she couldn't be with him, and her tears, when they landed on the ground, grew into these flowers, the angel's tear, daffodils. Supposedly making tea or wearing the flowers as clothing brings good luck and wealth.
Yes. Drow. Muriel Tigray is a drow.
Do you know how to spell the last name?
Yes, I will copy and paste it into the highlights. Muriel to Gray.
Ah.
In 1 second, we'll be back stream. Well, hello, stream. We just had to work out some stuff on this side, and we will get back to game. We're probably going to go another 10-15 minutes and end off there. So as the party has collectively decided to watch, the night would go on. Serdil and Maury and John getting people away, getting the younger folk that are not meant to die here, if anything should happen. They're able to return, and the others are able to arrive, and staying back and watching, Captain Dayton enters into the room. The four archers of his standing near the doorways off to the sides. Bows not drawn, just out at their sides, an arrow knocked but not pulled. The two elders and Sardo sitting, almost kind of waiting, meditating near the shrine, this crypt. This is the one last chance. I do not want to hurt you, but I need to know where he's gone. Or to look in there. One of the two. I'm sorry, but we cannot fulfill your desires. As he steps forward, drawing his blade, giving off an intimidation, but seemingly hesitant. The monks will stand and prepare themselves, take on these defensive stances behind them. The more rigid, firm stances of the more earth generative connected monks, and whereas Serda looks almost comfortable, kind of leaning on his staff, but still gives off an air of strength. The archers knock their arrows as there's a moment of standing off before one of the archers yells out in pain as he seems to be struck with something, and his arrow releases, being knocked out of the air by Serdil, but in that moment, everyone reacting against the tension, the other arrows loosen. The monks move forward to defend this shrine. As from off to the side of the building, the two younger men that you had spotted earlier seem to have stayed back, snuck away from the group being led away, and have chosen to strike against these invaders, these mercenaries. As the fight ensues, it rounds off various blows coming to contact. Serdil using the water from the fountain, manipulating it, similar to the way Thicket does, but almost innately. There's no clear spell casting. It's almost as if the water responds to his movements and his presence, rather than any kind of magical incantation or energy. In similar way, the two other elders strike out with the rocks around them, the stones from the ground responding. Elements of, as Serdil is fighting Dayton at a point where Serdil is coming around, having frozen water over his hands, creating these jagged punches, combining the two different martial elements with the more natural magic that he seems to be manipulating. As they fight, as the archers are interacting with the others, the arrows flying, defensive stances and attacks, the earth being thrown, different pieces of the building itself being used in the combat. There comes a point when, as Cyrodiil brings his fist down, it is grabbed by Dayton, who swings upward and stabs into Cyrodiil, expecting aura, but there was none left. Dayton steps back, pulling his sword away. A slight look of horror in his eyes, realizing what he's done. But then, as one of the elders strikes toward him in response, a bit of determination as he defends himself after what he's done. In the fight that ensues, each of the scouts are taken down. One of the young men, unfortunately, does not make it. The other survives. And one very hurt elder and the other hurt but in better shape, the woman, the Earth Genasi, stepping forward as Dayton falls to the ground. Bits of the wall having been broken off, the stability of the structure lacking. The hurt elder, with the help of the younger man, begins to limp out and in the direction of Feldspar. He watches over the course of maybe minutes. Hard to tell. The woman takes the weapons of the different fighters, piercing them into the stone, melding the earth around them, avoiding any kind of jagged strike, breaking, but seeming as if it was meant to be there. Striking the partially broken sword from one of the stones that had been cast at Dayton, pierces the memory into the ground. Leaning Cyrodiil up to one side of the fountain and Dayton onto the other. Taking Cyrodiil's necklace and placing it on the sword. The elder stretches out their hands, taking a meditative stance at this early, maybe 2 a.m., 3, it's hard to tell with the time. Reaches out, and parts of the walls shift, creating these natural windows in each corner. Actually, not in each corner. Near... That would actually be with each open doorway, so there would be no change in the wall, my bad. They strike outward into the distance, and you hear a shift and a grinding of stone as they perform this almost dance-like martial performance, ritual. It's hard to tell. As they strike out, you can see in the night 3 pillars come out of the ground. This person strikes downward, and 3 of the stones, this white sandstone, comes up. They strike their hand against each one, which shatters into this perfect oval shape. That they strike outward, and all 3 spring toward these pillars, striking into them. 3 more times, the elder strikes the ground as additional mechanisms, these shrines, open up beyond each pillar. As magical energy seems to gather, fulfilling whatever form of ritual this is, as a barrier seems to move up around this place, this dome of energy. The Genasi sits down on the steps facing the crypt, the tomb. Breathes a sigh. Looks somehow older than she did moments before. She sits there meditating as the world seems to shift as the sun and moon pass by repeatedly. As time goes on, the Genasi seems to transform into a statue. Having gone from whatever earth elemental form they have, whatever connection they have, seeming to subsume them. As the bodies decay, and eventually are left to nothing, eventually one wall falls. Then another, as the ruin eventually shatters around itself. The 3 pillars set up, years pass by, thieves attempt to steal them. Some survive, others do not. Will-o-wisps leading one thief to a tree, which they do not make it. And as you all watch this end, there is a small sandstorm that seems to arrive, rushing around each of you, covering your vision, and as it comes back down, you find yourself sitting back in Sasha's room, each of you in your position in the ritual, her looking tired. A couple of beads of sweat actually on her forehead as the ritual finishes, and all of you, where you hadn't realized before, had all been floating in the air. Lower back down, thicket, you'd be able to look outside and see that there is the faintest tinges of what's left of a sunset. Whatever day it may be, it is far from the time it was before. It's been at least hours, the entire afternoon. She breathes a sigh of relief. Well, did you learn anything interesting? And I believe that is where we'll end the session for the night. For the I guess also mentioning that the White Iron Memory has laid down back atop the iron ingots. Of the 20 of which there were, 18 seem to have been fully transformed into this white metal material. Seems the ritual was a success.
It's like super sad.
Yeah, it's a sad story. I mean, technically, depending on which one y'all chose, there were a couple of sad stories to be told with the items. I made a list of which ones had the quote-unquote significance enough to have the ritual performed, which ones don't. Y'all basically just would have been taken through the plot of Snow White if you'd chosen the potion. Albeit a more combat-heavy version of Snow White, but you would have been brought through the story of Snow White.
That's
or
awesome.
a version of it.
So you're talking about like the Huntsman?
Yeah, probably closer to like Snow White and the Huntsman, or the plot of Mirror Mirror or something where there's, more stuff going on. Next week we will move from this side quest on to wherever y'all choose to go next. If you want to go to Vacuo, if you want to head north, south, y'all have pieces to put together to find at least 2 more swords. You'll also haven't gotten a full answer from Sasha on the swords, so that may be something you want to ask next time, just as a reminder. Yeah. That's all those big notes.
We also didn't get an answer yet on the the Yuri situation.
Yeah, y'all don't know fully what her relationship with Asuka or Simeon is. I think I will go ahead and with that probably end the recording for the night, and we can talk and enjoy as much as we want for our side with Stream and whoever wants to. But I know it is late for some people, so I want us to go ahead and be able to say goodbye so they can leave when they want to. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you again later.
Bye.
Bye, YouTube.